Hello everybody, welcome back to my training channel. Today we are going to learn about Laravel. What is Laravel exactly? Laravel is a MVC framework for PHP which allows us to code in model, view and controller models. Now exactly what model, controller and view are? In our general PHP, what we do is we create a PHP file, it is a form or HTML file, and then we directly interact it to the database by firing your MySQL command inside a PHP file. Now when it comes to MVC, what happens actually is the model, which is a definition of the entire database structure, that is the table structure. Controller contains all the business logics, and view will be either taking input from the user or it will be getting the output from the model via the controller to the view. So the process goes this way. If we input something, it goes from view to controller. Controllers interact with models. Models get the data from the database. It returns it back to the controller, and controller again gives it back to the view. So this is the architecture of MVC, a general architecture of MVC. This architecture is common in each and every platform, not only in Laravel. Any other MVC architecture will be working in the same manner. Now, first and foremost, to start working with Laravel, you will need something known as your composer. If you don't have composer, you can go to the site and download the composer from here and install it into your system. Once installed, you can check the version of your composer. So for checking the version, we can just write the command as composer -v. So it will show you the version of composer and also the version of PHP. Now when you install composer, it will ask you the path to your PHP. My PHP is inside your XAMPP folder and the version is 8.2.27. So these are the initial parameters which are needed for running or creating an Laravel application. Now we directly jump into how to create your first Laravel application. So for that, we have to run the command as composer create dash project Laravel /Laravel and then the project name. Supposingly I want to give the name as my Laravel and you press enter. Now when you run this command, it will directly go to the Laravel server and get the Laravel installation files. Now you observe that when you run the command, it is showing you something over here as installing Laravel version 12. Now this is the latest version of Laravel. Now this will depend entirely on which version of PHP your system is running. If you are running below 8 or something, then you will get the lower version of Laravel, not 11 and 12. And if you are running above 8, that is 8.2, then you will get 12 and 11. Right now the updated version is 12, so it is directly getting the 12 version from the server and it installs that particular runtime files inside that folder which we mentioned. You should see a message like this. So it is completed now. Now to start with it, we open it in Visual Studio. That is code and my folder name was my Laravel. Okay, so I can just write the command as code and my Laravel. This is my way of opening your Visual Studio Code. You can directly open it from the menu also. Now you can see the structure is defined over here, that is my Laravel, and then you find a lot of folders, lot of config files. First, let's understand the basics of the Laravel structure, folder structure. You are having the first folder named as app. Now inside your app folder, you are having HTTP model providers. These are the 3 folders inside it. It is but obvious that when you go in app, your each and every controllers will be inside your HTTP controller folder. The models that will be having the definition of your database will be inside models folder, and each and everything in this cannot be created directly. As in normal PHP, what we do is we want to create a different file, then we just save the file as .php and it works. In Laravel, it won't work that way. We have commands for creating controllers, models and everything that we will be learning. as we go on. So this is your controller. Inside your controller folder, one demo controller is already created. Second, the model is also for a demo purpose. The user model is already created over here. Below you can see a bootstrap, that is running file of your application. Bootstrap means starting portion. You are having app over here, and this calls your kernel file inside your Laravel and it runs it. Next, you have a config folder. The name itself says config, that is configuration of the application itself. So you can just see over here, you have configuration for the database over here. You can see connection files, MySQL, database URL and everything. File system, that deals with the file system, upload of your project files, that will be defined inside this. So this config folder contains file which will allow you to configure each and everything inside your Laravel project. Next is your database folder. Inside, the important thing is migrations. Now there are two ways in creating your database in your Laravel. The Laravel way is you create migration files and then you create the database, and one, as we did in our normal PHP projects, that raw MySQL, and we create the project there and connect it over here. This is one way. In migrations, you have to create each and every file for the tables which you want to work in your MySQL. Next, you are having a folder named as public. Now this name, as I say public, this will be the folder which is browsed by the normal browser application, that is the client applications, which interprets files from this particular folder. So if you want to create a theme or you want to create a CSS file and each and everything will go inside your public folder. Next, you find resources. In resources, there will be this portion which is known as your views. Laravel, each and every view will be inside your resources folder. There is one view already created which is known as welcome blade. We will be coming on to it, how it works. You are having a important folder known as routes. And what are routes or routing inside your MVC application? What routing is? Now, when you do a normal PHP project, what we used to do is, supposingly we used to create a file named as, we create a file name and we can save it as PHP. Supposingly I want to create a file as register, then I say register.php. We saved it inside your XAMPP folder and it can be browsed from the browser by the folder name /register.php. Now inside your MVC architecture, none of the files will be called directly. We have to point to that particular file to run it, and that is known as routing. So routing does map to the actual file which is to be called. It can be either called from the controller or directly the view. So this is an important thing. Inside your web, you have one route defined. We will be coming on to routes, how it works and how it actually runs. So this is your routes folder. You have your storage folder. Your uploaded files can be stored over here, or you can store it in public folder also. This is the storage folder where the uploaded files will go. There is one more important file which is known as env.env. Now the name itself says environment. Now this file in your Laravel allows you to do all the configuration of your application level environment variables. That is the variables which we want to define at the application level. Once defined here, can be used inside your application. Here you can see there is database connection and session things written which has to be modified as you need it. Even mailing configuration is done inside your environment file. So this is one most important file inside your Laravel. None of the structure has to be modified or delete or something, then your Laravel application will be stopped working, and this is your basic architecture. So first and foremost, we try to run that application which is created. So for running that, we have to run the command as php artisan serve. Now it says server is running on this particular port. I just say control and I press the application, it should run, and you can just see that your Laravel code is up and running. So this is the first page which is loaded. Now wondering why this page is loaded and from where this page is loaded. There is no file named as index.php or something as we used to do in any other web application. But now how this is called. This is the root of your folder, that is path is slash, that is your root. So how it is being called, you can go in your routes folder. As I said, each and everything is written inside a routes, so that is routing, and you can see there is defined something as root : get. Now what is this get? In your HTTP, you have different methods such as get, post, delete. So this all will be called inside your Laravel and can be used to create your route. If I just want to load a view or call something, then it will be get. If I want to post some data from the form, it will be post. Same way, modifying will be put and delete will be delete. So over here you can observe that the path is defined from which particular namespace. Now the architecture remains same as in any other library kind of uh, projects, that is MVC architecture. In your .NET also you have namespaces. Over here you also have something named as namespace, but it is defined in this way that this particular package contains your routing files. So to define the route, the first demo route is already created, that is running because of this. This page is being loaded from this particular route. Now how it is defined? Just observe it. Route colon colon get, the method is get, slash. Slash means the starting point of your application, that is root of your application, and then it is defined that function. So what actually happens is when the user browse the root of your application, then this function is being called, and in this function you can say a return statement is written, return view, and you can say the name is welcome. So what actually happens is when the browser points to slash, then it calls this function. This function in turn returns us a view. Now this view is defined inside your resources folder. As I said, your resources folder will be containing your views, and you can see that there is a file named as welcome.blade.php. Now remember, the extension for your views inside your Laravel will be blade.php, not simple PHP. Blade is a templating engine for your Laravel. So the name has to be welcome.blade.php. If I want to create a file named as register, then I have to give the name as register.blade.php. So this is how your Laravel views are created. Now you can observe that this file that is having the title as Laravel. So you can just observe over here, the title is written Laravel. So this entire page, this view is being called from this welcome.blade.php. Now let's dive and check how to create your Laravel routes. If you want to create your own route, then you just go over here and say route colon colon get, and I define a path as, supposingly I want to define a path as my. So in my browser I'll be writing as the path slash my, and for that I want to call something. So I define a function over here, function curly bracket, and then we give a termination sign. This is similar to your ES6 functions in your JavaScript. So we define a function, and function curly bracket start, curly bracket close, and it is passed inside your get function, that is colon colon get. Now over here, supposingly I don't want to load a view right now, I just want to give a statement as echo. Supposingly inside your PHP, your printing statement is echo and print. So I just print as hi over here and save it. Your application is already running. I just saved the file. You don't need to recompile it. It will be compiled automatically. And my path was my. So when I specify slash my, you observe that you get the printed thing hi over here, which is written over here. So this is basics of routing. This is the root name which you want to give, and when I call this root name, which function should be mapped is written over here. Now this is just demo over here that we are writing the function inside your web.php, that is a routing file itself. This is not going to work that way. You have to call the view from your controller, that will be learning on. But then let's first finish off with this, that is how this basic routing works. This is the simple route which is defined. Supposingly I want to create another route, I say route colon colon get, and in that get I give the function name as add and define a function over here, function, and then again I say curly braces, and I want to return something known as your addition. So I give a statement as return 4 plus 6 and give a termination statement. Now the path should be preceded by slash, so I say slash over here. So my root is slash add, and it should return me the addition of this particular values which I have defined over here. So I save it and I just pass add. So you can observe that it returns me 10. So when I just give the root as /add, it comes here, it goes inside this function and it returns me which is done inside that function. So keep in mind what exactly root does. It calls a function. In this case, it is right away calling the function inside your web.php, but in your Laravel, what it will be doing is it will be actually calling the function defined inside your controller. We will be coming to that particular thing, just the basics over here. One more thing, we do a basic inside of this returning 4 plus 6. What I want to do is, supposingly I want to write a simple for loop. So I write a for loop $I equals to 0, $I plus plus, I is less than 10, $I less than 10, I plus plus. This is a simple for loop in your PHP, and I just say echo $I, then I concate. So concatenate is dot inside your PHP, and I just give VR over here, that is break, HTML break. So one by one it should be written. Something is wrong. Okay, I forgot the termination. Okay, it is saved. Now if I give the same path as add, I have modified inside the function. First it was returning the addition, now it should return me 0 to 10, that is the loop which I have run. So I just observe it over here, and yes, it returns me this loop. So it should be clear from now what your root actually does. Extending the roots, these are simple roots. Now extending these roots, that is parameter inside your root. You want to pass a parameter inside your root, that is parametric function. So for that, again I give get, we give as calc, that is calculate, and I want to do addition inside it. So I just defined a function over here. What I want to do is I want to pass parameters with this particular path. Parameters, why they are needed? You can observe something over here, that we go to the basic website or we go to something over here that is already running. So you can observe that a particular argument is being passed. You can just define, when I click on this Google layoffs, I observe it, you can just see a parameter over here. This is basically a parameter, OCID equals to something. So this is a value which is passed with the path. The page is this, but you are passing a particular value which is dynamic over here. So whenever you click on something, it is called by that particular path. You can always observe this inside your roots. So you can define this like this. I click over here. This is just showing you the practical way how the roots are being defined. The thing beside is your question mark. Inside your normal PHP, we do this only. That is, supposingly we say product details. So we say product details question mark PID equals to a particular ID. That is the parameter. That is the parameter which is to be passed inside your roots. So for that, I want a parameter over here. Supposingly I say num1. So that parameter is passed inside your function, and I want to just echo that variable. So I say echo $num1. And over here you can observe that this should print that particular variable, and for that you have to modify the root over here. So in root you have to specify a slash beside it, and the name over here should be same as it is defined over here, num1. This is the parameter, and in your path the variable name should be same. Remember this, never forget it. If I define id over here, it should be id over here. I have defined num1, so it should be num1 over here, and I have just echoed that variable, that is echo should print that value. So the path is /cal. So I say calc, and beside that I pass a variable 5. So you can observe that the 5 has been grabbed by the function, and that value is on the page itself. Right now we haven't defined a view, but it is working as it is taking this variable. we extend it, we give two parameters over here supposingly. So I just say specify comma number 2, and that number 2 also has to be passed over here, curly bracket and num2. While defining, you just have to give the name. While taking the value inside your PHP function, you have to define it as dollar, because your variables are being defined as dollar in your PHP. And over here, what you can say, we want to do addition over here, then say return, and I will say num1 plus dollar num2. So this are passed inside your browser. Browser passes it to the function, that is parameters, and whatever has to be done, the processing is done inside your function. So this is how your two parameters work. So 5 plus 6, it is giving me the answer. 5 plus 7, it is giving me the answer. So this is pretty clear how path or routing works inside your Laravel. Up till now, what we saw is how to define a simple path, how to give a parametric path, but we haven't called any view from it, which is given sample over here. Supposingly, I want to create a view, then I say root colon get, and I give it a path as register, and still I define the function over here not in controller. I say function curly bracket enter, and you say return view, and inside your view I just give the name over as register. So what I did is I created a root as register, and also I gave the view as a register. Now I haven't created any view over here right now. So just let's try how it will be interpreting and working. So I just try to give as slash register, which is the path over here. So I go over here and give it as register. It should give me an error because there is nothing defined as this. It gives me an error, view register not found. That means it is trying to find the view named as register, but that view is not inside my resources folder. So I go inside my resources folder and create a view as register.blade.php. Okay, and inside that we write our normal HTML, and I just give a h1 tag registration. I just print this much. So I created a file name as register.blade.php. Now if I try to refresh, it should load. Wait, there is some problem in the name. Let me check. Okay, this is outside your view folder. I just move it inside the view folder. So now it is inside. You can see this is the view called. So this is actually what is working. If I give this, it is calling the welcome blade.php because it is being written over here that when I give slash, it should call welcome. So when I click this, that is slash register, it should call the view register. So this is how your view is being loaded from your function. Now actually Laravel works with controllers. In your demo also this is not given, no controller is being called over here. Now to define a controller, there is a command. So we open a new terminal, and inside that we run the command as php artisan make controller and the controller name. Now naming convention in Laravel, keep a practice to give the initial as capital, the first letter to be capital. So I just give as my controller, and it is defined over here my controller. So it says controller this created. Now that can be observed inside your controller. So you can see when you open this, the namespace, it is being called from app HTTP controllers, that is the base classes are over here, and it extends the controller base class. So controller class is already defined, which is needed for each and every controller. So your controller name will be the file name or which you pass over here. So there is a class. So each controller itself is a class. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create a function over here, public function, and I give the function name as register. What we are exactly doing over here? We are writing the function which we did over here. Up till now, we just played inside your web.php, that is a routing file. And now what we are doing is we are actually defining the function inside your controller. We created the controller with the command as php artisan make controller and the controller name. And then we created a function register. Now inside that, I just say return view, and inside that view, I load a view as register. Previously, we created a file name as registration. Now I give the name as register, 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 and termination. So inside this, I am just returning a view. Now this has to be specified inside your web. The method is defined inside your controller, but in your web, you have to give the path. Now up till now, what we did was we just called the function which is defined inside here, but now actual MVC architecture starts. So when you say root ::: get, and I give the path as reg, instead of register, I specify as reg. The path is on me, so I just give register short form over here. And now is the catch, how to call that particular function. So there are two ways. First is the old way, to define the entire path. So that is app slash http slash controller slash and my controller, that is my file controller dot and the function name. So function name has to be specified by @. So what it will do is it will go inside this controller and my function name is register. So I give the function name as register. So this is how you call function from the controller. You need to specify this entire path, or else you can specify it over here also, use app slash something, that something, that is the path, http controller and this. Then you can define the controller directly and you can give the actual path also here. And after that, you have to specify @ and the function name, and the method is get. So this will go inside your controller. It will search for this function register and it will do whatever it's done inside your register function. So over here, you can just type and run, that is /reg. If everything is okay, it should run. Okay, it is giving me an error, app/http does not exist. So that's, you have to specify the path over here. Our path is okay, app http controllers. So spelling is wrong over here, typo mistake, controllers, and I just refresh it. So you can see it is calling what I have done inside this view. I just modify it. Welcome to controllers and views. Just save it, try to refresh, do that. So this is actually how your MVC controllers and routing works. So remember what actually it happens is, when you call the controller, when the user calls something in the browser, that is a path in the browser, it actually goes to the controller first, the function which is targeted, and it returns me the view which is defined inside the controller. So remember, in any MVC architecture, what actually happens is, when you pass a command, that command is handled by the controller function. So whenever routing is done inside your any of the Laravel or any of the MVC architecture, this happens that you are calling actually the function, not the view directly. The function of that controller is being called, and inside that controller, whatever is done is being called. If you call a view over here, view will be called. If you do some calculations or some fetching or something, it will be done inside this particular view. So this is how your function is being called from your routing. So it is pretty clear. Just a quick brush up how we and what we did. we created the Laravel project using your command, that is php composer create project and then Laravel / Laravel and your folder name. This command will always download from internet. There is one way also that you can dump or install the Laravel inside your Windows, and then you can directly run another command which will take it from that folder. But this is advantages in what way? It always takes the newer files from the server. So I have this practice that I directly call it from the server. The command is composer create dash project Laravel / Laravel and your folder name. So this should create the project. After creating the project, the min file to call the views or load the views inside your Laravel is the web.php, where all routes are defined. To define the root, you have to give the command as, that is root : get. You have to define it this way. / you can give any root name. This will be inside your browser, which is called inside a browser, and it calls a function. This is just to make you understand how routing works. Actual routing will be working this way only inside your controllers. And the parametric is one more important thing, that you want to pass a parameter over here. Now we try to give another parametric function over here also. So supposingly I create a function inside this, that is public function addition, and inside that I pass the same parameters num1 and num2. What I am trying to do is I am trying to call the function from the controller which we did previously from the web file. So this is done over here, and I just say return $num1 plus $num2. So the function is defined inside the same controller, just the function name is addition. It is taking 2 parameters. Now for calling that thing, what we have to do is we have to give the same path. So I just copy this, the path will be same, that is over here I give the routing as addition / addition. It will be the same controller, but the method will be different. Method is addition, so I modify the method over here addition, but it takes parameter. So that parameter has to be specified after the / path. So I say / curly bracket and num1 second curly bracket and num2. So it is same as this, but inside this we used to call the function which is defined here. Now we are calling the function which is defined inside your controller, that is addition function, and it is passing num1 and num2. So let's try it. If it is all perfect, then it should work. So I pass it over here, addition / 8 and 5. It works. So this path calls the controller function addition. It takes the parameter, and parameter is defined over here, and whatever has to be done using that parameter can be done over here. Now this parametric is basically used, as I said in your live demo how it works, that is this way, that in each and every path there is a question mark, and this is the parameter. So when it works with database, it will be taking the value from the database. Instead of this num1 num2 addition, you will be having an ID over here, and you can fetch the data using that ID from that database. So this was about starting a new project inside your Laravel. What is routing, how routing works, and what are parameter roots, and how to load a controller's view. You create a controller and create a view and load it from this particular path. Subscribe our channel for more tutorials. We will be coming up with more tutorials on other IT languages as well as on Laravel also. So please subscribe our channel to get updated. Thank you for watching.